Hello, this video is about what text editors are and how to use them in this class, as well as how to set up project folders within a text editor. So this may be the first video that you watch and as part of our class, as part of your week 0 assignments. And this video should precede your personal website project. So this video is to help you understand what is a text editor, how to set it up, and then also how to set up files within a file folder structure so that you can set up your personal website project. So briefly, a text editor is a type of program used for editing plain text files. So essentially, a text editor is a program on your computer that allows you to create and edit a range of programming language files, aka this is where you're going to be writing your code. Text editors handle many different languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, all the different languages that exist, and also all of the languages that you're going to be learning in this class. So a text editor is different than a word processor. So you're probably familiar with Microsoft Word, Pages, Google Docs. All of those are called word processors, and they're quite a bit different than text editors. And simply, they just don't work for coding. Text editors are specific programs that are designed to help you write your code more efficiently and quickly, and then also it marks it up and gives you more information about what you're writing. So what we're going to do, so here is actually an example of what a text editor looks like. You may be familiar with how this looks based on what you've learned so far, but you can see how everything's kind of marked up. The tag names are blue, the attributes are light blue with the descriptor as a red. You can see comments are green, so you can kind of read it a little bit easier. It's easier to see the code. It's easier to see how it's set up, and also it's a lot easier to write. So for example, if I wanted to add a tag, so let's say I want to add a paragraph tag, and I just type in P, it automatically creates the opening tag and the closing tag. So it's a lot easier. I don't have to remember to write the opening tag and closing tag. And it just makes it a lot quicker. So that's what a text editor essentially does, is it recognizes the language you're writing in and then helps you, the user, the computer programmer, to be more efficient at writing in that language. So the first things first, we need to first get everything set up on your website. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google, and we're going to go to type in VS Code in Google, and it's going to bring you to this website, or you can just go to this website here. So code.visualstudio.com, and we're going to download Visual Studio Code or VS Code. So there's lots of different types of text editors, but in this class we highly recommend that you use VS Code because all of the lectures and all of the examples are going to be done using this software, so that you will be able to follow along a little bit easier. At the end of this class, if you find that there's another text editor that you prefer, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot out there, and we do encourage that you poke around and try different ones and find the one that works best for you. But in this class, we're going to be using Visual Studio Code. So once you download it, installed on your on your desktop, it's gonna open up like this. Of course, there won't be any code here. It'll be a blank document, look more something like this. And then it's our job to set up our project structure. So once we have Visual Studio Code installed, the next thing that we need to do, or the beginning of any project rather, is that we need to set up a folder that we can house all of our projects. So what we're going to do is we're going to be creating a folder. So we're going to say new, go to your desktop, create a new folder, and then we're going to call it WTA underscore projects. Okay, within that folder, this folder is the one we're going to be housing all of our projects for this semester. So once you create this folder, you're going to be creating a new folder for each project. So this one is called personal website, and the convention for naming folders is generally like you see here. So like I did for WTA projects and personal website, it's all lowercase and each word is separated by an underscore. That will help out as we move through this course, and you'll learn a little bit more why that's the convention. Okay, so let's open our personal website, and you should have nothing inside of that. Okay, Perfect. So now let's set up our project in Visual Studio Code. So once we have a new file, so file, new file, you'll see here we have two new files, Untitled 1 and Untitled 2. We need to save them as an HTML document and a CSS document respectively. So let's save this as an HTML document. If we don't save it as an HTML document, VS Code doesn't know what kind or what language we're writing in. So it won't know how to intuitively mark up and write in that language. So what we're going to do is in our untitled file 1, we're going to go to File, Save As, and then make sure that we're in our personal website folder, which we are, and then we're going to call it index.html. That ending.html tells our text editor that what we're going to be writing in this file is HTML code. So we'll save it. You'll see here how it pops up and it even adds the HTML logo. Now in our untitled number 2, we're going to do the same thing, File, Save As, but this one is going to be our CSS. So we're going to name it Style, but instead of .html, it's going to be .css. Sorry, just 2 S's. .css. And once again, it adds that hashtag or the pound sign to designate that this is CSS. So whatever I write in here, the computer will recognize as CSS. Whatever I write in here, the computer will recognize as HTML. So the next step is, it's really tedious if I have to build the entire HTML document by myself. So there's a really cool feature about Visual Studio Code that I want you to install, walk through it with me, that will help us build our HTML document. It's called HTML5 boilerplate. Let me show you how it works first, and then I'll show you how to install it. So instead of writing doctype.html and then adding all of the framework, I can just simply type HTML5, and then right here, where it says HTML5 boilerplate, and it builds it out for me. So super simple, it saves me tons of time. So I want you to do this as well. So let's go back to Google. And I want you to Google HTML5 boilerplate. So let's go back here, HTML5 boilerplate VS Code. And once it finds it, it's going to be this one that's in the Visual Studio Marketplace. Once it loads, we're going to click Install. You have to have Visual Studio installed first in order to install this, because it will ask us, it'll pop up and say, open Visual Studio Code, and then you can open it in Visual Studio Code. I already have it downloaded, so let me show you what that's going to look like. Once it opens your Visual Studio Code or VS Code, there's going to be a little message that pops up in the lower right hand corner that says HTML5 boilerplate extension wants to be installed, and then you can click Install and it'll add it. Then you can simply just write HTML5 and then click the boilerplate drop down and it'll start building it for you. Okay, so now that we have our project set up, so let's look at our project, our folder here in our desktop. So let's go to WTA projects. We have our personal website. We have our we have index.html, HTML document, style.css, a CSS document. And that's all we really need to do to set up our website, our personal website project. Now, the only other thing that you may not know how to do yet is that we need to link our CSS and our HTML documents. So that's really simple. Down here in link, we just type in our href, in the reference for where we're going to get our styles. We just type the name of our CSS file. So I called mine style.css, so it knows when the computer's asking, well, where do I go to find the styles that you want to apply to this HTML document? It'll know to go to my style.css document that's in the same folder as the HTML document. So once that's set up, then I know I can write my CSS in here, and it'll apply it to my HTML in here. Okay, the rest you know how to do. So based on the stuff you've learned from prerequisite assignments, you're going to start building your website according to the specifications in the assignment on Thinkific. You're going to build the rest of your website right here. So you can start adding content here. So make sure you have the header and then the content in the middle that it specifies, and then all of the footer content. And that's really all that you need to know for this assignment. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and good luck on your assignment.